Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shanuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraha Sthirairangayistushtvagum Sastanubhihi Vyashema Devahitanyadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vriddhishravaha Swasti nah Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti nastarksho Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspatirdadhatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvina Vadhitamastu Ma Vidvisha Vahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Chant the seventh mantra. Nantav pragyam na bahish pragyam na ubhayatav pragyam na pragyana ganam na pragyam na pragyam adrishtam avyavaharyam agrahyam alakshanam achintyam avyapadeshyam ekatma pratyaya saram prapancha upashamam shantam shivam advaitam chaturtham manyante sa atma savigyeyaha. So in our last class we were examining the unique prakriya, the method of teaching that the Shastra utilizes, by pointing out which we can eliminate all the problems of life that afflict us. That is the objective of our living. Everybody's objective of living is to live happily without being bothered by all kinds of things, diseases, aging, problems with people, situations, etc., and ultimately even death. So that being the objective of the Shastras, how do you attain that, is really what we were going through in the form of the Drikdishya Viveka. And we saw the three stages of this Viveka, ultimately resulting in an Advaita, Viveka of the Advaita. So we saw some of that. So this is connected, of course, to the overall teaching of the Mandukya, especially the seventh mantra that we are doing, but gives a commentary in a connected way. It is not a direct, we will come to we haven't finished the seventh mantra, we will come to it. In today's class, I decided to look at the same topic in another way, to kind of clarify and to consolidate what we had started with last week, which is Drikdrishya Viveka, and why it is so important for us in each of our lives, or should be. We may not realize it initially, but we should understand that this is in fact a great method, the best method to get rid of all of the problems of my life. This is what we are going to go through. You know, it's interesting. I read somewhere from Swami Akhandananda's commentaries. He makes a point that A Vedantic student, before the whole thing is completely clear, actually goes through several teachers. I think I'm going to take some Ricola. So Swami Khandananda says that the experience of the Mahatmas is that their introduction to the truth in the Shastra is realistically conveyed by multiple people. It is important to have one guru, no doubt about it, because having your trust, your resonance, that's the word I was looking for, because it resonates in the sense that whatever the teacher says, you appreciate it, because you have a certain shraddha towards not only the teaching, but also towards the teacher. So this Guru-Shishya connection is important. At the same time, to consolidate and to clarify what this one guru that you have a connection with is saying, it becomes very useful to supplement it with the views of other teachers as well, as long as they are consistent. So it's interesting if you look at this phenomena, this process. Initially, you don't know who that one guru is that you have a resonance with. You don't know that until you keep looking, you listen to different people and so on, but finally something sticks in your mind. And that person, through Shravanam, Mananam, etc., takes you quite far. In other words, takes you far, meaning that it provides a certain foundation which is very solid and very very far-reaching. In other words, it's not just a single brick. It's a solid structure in your understanding. And then what happens is that you discover, once you have a basic idea of what this is all about, you discover other teachers and other teachings that can resonate with you with different examples. What I'm telling you is something I've gone through in my life, and I remember this this method. I remember this so well. One time when Swami Viditatmananda was staying with me, as he did for a number of years, we had long talks and long discussions. He and I both were talking about the fact that there comes a point where you as a student can read something or listen to some teacher and you can evaluate whether that person is consistent with what you have heard or not. It's the other way around. And Swamiji agrees. He congratulated me. He says, I'm very happy that you've come to that stage. And it was at that time, the reason I'm mentioning all this is because at that stage, he had said, because I had expressed to him that I want to really learn something in my own mother tongue, which is Hindi. And are there some Mahatmas that I can read? Because reading in Sanskrit is slow. I understand it, but it is slow. Grammar is slow. This is the time when he introduced me to Swami Maheshanandaji's books. This was around 27, 28, somewhere in that time frame. And I'm very fortunate also that Swami Pratyek Bodhanandaji, who is no more, gave me the entire set of books from Swami Akhandanandaji, also in Hindi. And when I started reading those, even though they gave different examples, I could tell that their vision was very consistent with what I had learned from Swami Dayanandji, from Swami Chinmayanandji, and from discussions with Swami Viditatmananda, Swami Tattvavidanandaji, and so on. So this has really consolidated my view by looking at various aspects of the same thing. It's not an easy process. And it is not a matter of, as I've been saying and all our acharyas have been saying, it's not a matter of theory and practice, of learning something and then applying it. It isn't like that. Please understand that. That only applies if there is something that needs to be done. Like supposing you want to cook. Then a recipe and then the actual experience of putting things together helps. But here there is nothing to be done. There is something to be known. So what happens in this process, and I'm just giving you the background on something that I'm going to discuss in a minute. What happens in this case, if it is not theory and practice, then what is it? I think the best way to explain that was given by Swami Akhandanandaji too. It became very clear to me. Remember the examples that I gave about a child whose parents finally tell that child, this is the picture of a mouth. This is the picture of an ear. This is the picture of a nose. And so there has to be a combination of the sounds, mouth, ears, nose, and a connection with the drawing on the piece of paper. So this connection between the sound and the picture consolidates for the youngster what is being communicated. But this is not the end point. The end point would be where the child knows that this is my mouth, these are my ears, this is my nose. That's the end point. So that clarity, so it is nothing to be done, it is something to be known. You see that? It is something to be known. So a way of looking at, for example, supposing you say theory and practice, for doing theory and practice, for knowing indirect knowledge and direct knowledge. So indirect knowledge means that you actually see words, what is being communicated, and you understand some of the aspects of it, how the sentence is, what is being what is being conveyed. You don't understand that. But to see that in a direct way applying to you requires more thinking. Not doing, but thinking. So these are stages of thinking. Now, the reason I'm saying all this, and I think it is useful just to discuss these aspects anyway, but the reason I'm saying is that recently, one other thing, before I do that, one thing Swami Akhandananda points out is that in his life of teaching, not only learning but in teaching, what he finds is he says, please have patience, because the same thing that is not clear at some point, if you keep studying, it becomes clearer and clearer and clearer. There is a very famous statement, Paunav Punyena Shravanam Kuryat. Paunav Punyena. Paunav Punyena means Punaf Punaf. So the same thing has to be seen until it becomes Sakshat Karanam. This is me, my goodness. This happened to me just in the last 15 days ago. In my studying, Swami Akhandananda Ji's, I'm reviewing some books by him. I'll talk about that later on. About one thing that I had not clearly understood until now. The clarity was not there. You know what that verse was that I'm talking about? It's this one. This is a very important verse and occurs both in Mandukya Upanishad and Kathopanishad. Same thing. This is how important it is, because if a verse is repeated, then it is worth studying. The verse is, Na ayam atma pravachanena labhyaha. Na medhaya na bahuna shrutena. Yam eva esha vrinute tena labhyaha. Tasya esha atma vivrunute tanugum swam. In the Mandukya Upanishad, you can refer to it as 3.2.3. And I don't remember the one in Kathopanishad, but it is also there in Katho. Na ayam atma pravachanena labhya. Na medhaya na bahuna shrutena. Yameva esha vrinute tena labhya. Tasya esha atma vivrinute tanugum swam. This is the verse. What it says is, you cannot see the Atma clearly by simply talking about it, by teaching it, not by having an excellent memory. You know, sometimes people, all these verses, they can learn it by heart. Bhagavad Gita, Ishavasya Upanishad, Kena Upanishad, all these small ones and Bhagavad Gita chapters, you can recite it. And a lot of the students feel good about it. It's good. It's nothing bad about it. I'm just saying that not enough. This doesn't give you the clarity of the understanding. Na bahuna shrutena, not by listening to it again and again. Then, these are the first ones, which says it cannot be done that way. So let us pause and just see what it cannot be done through. And the reason I'm mentioning is that this verse used to kind of leave me with a little bit of a discomfort. Well, I didn't quite understand that it should be possible by studying, by listening, by teaching. It should, but here the Shastra is saying no, you cannot do it by that way. How? Never did I question the Shastra. My Shraddha was never impacted, yet the clarity of what the Shastra was saying was not there in my mind until there is a very extended topic that Swami Khandananda was talking about, and then he actually takes an example of this verse as part of the clarification of the topic. Finally, it just hit me. Oh my gosh, this is what it is. The whole thing started to make sense to me. So this is what I want to talk about today. And it is very consistent with last time's class about the Drik Drishya Viveka. The three stages of the Viveka. Okay? All right, so let's talk about that. So in his discourses in this book that I'm studying, Swami Akhandananda starts out by saying, so this is a complete package, to look at the whole package, not just one thing. And this is all advanced Vedanta. From the words of a mouth, from the words in the mouth from a Mahatma who has spent a lifetime searching, listening, talking to other people, teaching. And he comes to a point that in many, many cases, the so-called Vedantins do not get to the final point. And the way he explains all that in terms of what is the advanced Vedanta that people are missing is all enunciated so clearly in his books that even though I've never met him, he just speaks to me very directly. He speaks to me directly, meaning that my final guru are your own thoughts. The clarity of your thoughts, you say, yes, this makes sense. That is the guru. But the ability of some teacher to invoke and to evoke those thoughts, Brahmakara Vritti, is what is really required. In this particular case, as far as a clarity of the understanding, that how come the Shastra is saying you cannot understand the Atma by merely talking about it, by reciting it, by learning it, by listening to it. We used to kind of leave me. I don't understand that until this was all pointed out. So here's the whole package. Swami Akhandananda starts out by saying that there is no human being who is not qualified in knowing the Paramatma. So here, knowing the Atma and knowing Ishvara is one and the same. No difference. So if you want to talk it in terms of knowing Parameshvara, God, you can say it that way. It's easier for us to understand that way, because otherwise you say to knowing the Atma, so knowing the Atma, I am the Atma, I don't understand, what is this? All those doubts come in. But it's nice to know that knowing Ishvara is the goal of all human beings. The fact that Ishvara is none other than your own Atma is a separate issue. That will come later. But at this point, Swamiji starts out by saying that every human being is qualified in reaching Parameshvara, Ishvara, and the Atma. So he gives 3 or 4 reasons for doing that. You know, this goes against. So all this thinking is a very interesting, a very advanced thinking. That's what I'm going to present to you. Because the traditional way is that you need to be qualified until you have antakarana shuddhi, until you've had basics. You cannot understand it. And it is true to a certain point, but the alternative given here, the alternative narrative that is being given here by Swami Akhandanandaji needs to be appreciated. What is it? He says, please understand that don't belittle yourself. This is his main message. Don't write yourself off. You are more capable than you think. He explains this by the Sanskrit term Hina Bhava. Hina Bhava. I will go into this. Hina Bhava means I can't do it. I'm not qualified. I will go into this, all these details and so on. This is called Hina Bhava. Hina Bhava means that a self-estimation which is at a very low level. You have a low self-appreciation. He says, please, there's no need to do that. You have no idea how powerful you are. This is the narrative. So he gives several reasons. Number 1, he says, Parameshvara has essentially created you. Ishvara is in reality your real mother and father. Your local mother and father are but an instrument. They are nimitta karanam. They're not the real mother and father. real mother and father. Mother and father means whatever it requires a union. So that making that union possible so that you are born, you are the direct child of Parameshwara. Please understand this. And so the reason we should understand that is because the mother and father are the most loving to us. In the whole creation, there is no one else who is more naturally loving for your growth and your well-being than your mother and father. And the father has some other aspects to it, even though he participates in your birth, but he's anxious to see that you are doing well, you've got a good job, you're good education. Your mom, on the other hand, has no conditions. Whether you're successful, not successful, whether you get a good job or not, she just loves you. Parameshwara is the ultimate mother, if you want to look at it just that way. Ultimate mother. Even your own mother has limitations. She herself may need your help. She's not always with you. She may not be qualified completely to give you company all your life. But that's not the case of Parameshwara. Parameshwara is your ultimate well-wisher. Ultimate well-wisher. The issue is we don't recognize it. We ignore it. We don't say, where is Ishvara? Where is Ishvara? I can see my mom, I can see my dad. At least they write to me, they can send me some emails, etc. from time to time. But I don't see any Ishvara. So it is my inability to understand that my best well-wisher. And so therefore, it is important for me to know that the one who wants me to know Ishvara is Ishvara. So this is cause number one. So cannot say that you are not qualified. Everybody is qualified because you are born due to Ishvara. This is number one. Okay. Number two, now we come to the knowing of the Atma. Knowing of means what? Knowing Atma means what? This is what number 7 says. Sa Atma sa Vijnaya. It is you. Do you need to be qualified to be you? And the whole language falls apart. You see this? This is important to see. You may not be qualified for doing something. That may be true. You're not qualified. But you don't need to be qualified to be yourself. By the way, I will add some thoughts here that have been very clear to me about this one fact, which is connected to this. You know, the word sampradaya is very relevant in this discussion. What is sampradaya? So we understand this, what is your sampradaya? Are you Advaita Vedanta? Are you the sampradaya of Adi Shankara? Or are you a sampradaya of Vishishta Advaita, Ramanuja's Vishishta Advaita? What sampradaya are you? Are you the sampradaya of Krishna consciousness? The people who sing the praises of Krishna all the time? That's a sampradaya. And of course we have all these other sampradayas. We have Christianity as a sampradaya, the Muslim religion, the Yahudis, everybody is a sampradaya, separate sampradaya. So the question is, what is my sampradaya? So really speaking, the Advaita Vedanta is not a sampradaya. Why not? Why can't it also be called a sampradaya? Because it involves you being you. Are you a sampradaya? Do you need to do something to be you? No, I don't, but I still don't get it. Okay, we will come to that. But in the meantime, see, because in order to understand the others, all these sampradayas, not the other, all the sampradayas, you have to do something. There are rules, there is a belief system. You have to do something. You have to go something. You have to observe something. So all sampradayas require you to do something. The Shastra says it is you. Just recognize yourself. Okay, so what do I do? Okay, now we'll come to that. So it should be seen that this is not a sampradaya.
I'm ready when you are.
I don't understand how. This is the Gemini. I guess there are some words that it understands. By the way, yesterday I found out, talking of Gemini, that you can talk to, you may already know this, but I didn't. You can talk to that in some different languages. It understands. I was talking to it in Hindi yesterday, and it just gave me all the answers in Hindi. Amazing. So I asked them, do you understand Sanskrit? So Gemini replied to me, I don't know about ChatGPT. I don't use ChatGPT. I just have the Google. It says Sanskrit I cannot talk. He says I can understand the text. If you send me a text, I can. So I have to figure out how to communicate that with a text. But as far as the verbal communication goes, it cannot understand Sanskrit because it is not used that often. So they didn't bother to have the software for it. But in Hindi, it can communicate. Wonderful. So the number two thing is that it is not a sampradaya because, so here's the thing. Are you not qualified to be you? No. I am always me. So there's no question of being qualified. Adhikaritvam. So just look at this. You know, we all traditionally talk about adhikaritvam. You're not an adhikari, you're not an adhikari, etc. But here Swami Akhananda says, you cannot be qualified to be you. It doesn't make any sense. That's the number 2. Number 3. What is here? You are here. You are now. You see, look at this. You are here always. So therefore, where does not apply to you? Never. You are now. Always now. So you cannot say when. When can I be I? Can you say that? Where will I find myself? Can you say that? Isn't that stupidity? If you even think like that, we don't. The only issue that happens is that I get confused in terms of my being a living being. Then the question of time comes in. When was I born? Where am I? I am here in California. It is all with respect to being a body. But as far as you are concerned, don't you see that you are completely independent of time and space? Irrelevant. Time and space are irrelevant. They're not even, it's not as though you're dependent on it. They're irrelevant. This one should see. So the number 3 point that you are qualified in is that you are here, you are now, and you are you. Can you never be you? Okay. Swami Kananda says, if there is any delay in quote unquote meeting yourself, see, I haven't met myself yet. Do you know why that is? You know what we were talking about earlier? That if me is me, then how come I don't see me as me? You know why? Now comes the answer. This is the important thing of the whole thing. Whether you're qualified, adhikaritvam, etc., etc. We said this is not a sampradaya, you don't need to be an adhikari, nothing of that. You are you, you are here. Why is it that I don't know myself, in quote unquote know myself, quote unquote feel myself? quote unquote, meet me self. Why is it? Here's the answer. You are not yet interested. You're not interested. You're distracted. And you have lots of excuses. Lots of excuses. Let us look at the excuses. So this is the first line. Na ayam atma pravachanena labhya na medhaya na bahuta shrutena. This is the explanation of that. You're not interested. You are interested in reciting. You are interested in learning different Upanishads. You are interested in learning the Bhagavad Gita. That's what you're interested. You're not interested in looking at yourself. These are all excuses. And it's not going to help you. It might help you somewhat, but not really. And there are many excuses. I remember, so this is what happens, that the same thing is pointed out by various teachers in different ways. Because when I was reviewing this, the words of Swami Dayananda came to my mind very well. He says, do not try to be a student forever. Because, there is a certain comfort. Let's look at it this way. There's a certain comfort, I'm learning. I think I'm doing well. I'm studying and I've got good habits and I am now getting away from the world. I'm doing it, but now I'm learning. How long are you going to keep learning? What is the end point? Oh, I don't know. I'm just, But here, this is an important thing for us to see. Swami Khandananda says, you are making one excuse after another. And here are some of the excuses. Okay, so this is the explanation. And I remember I think I've told you that even in the PRC course, we heard so many people in satsang saying, Swamiji, I cannot be you. Because I don't feel qualified. Some of them will say, I didn't have the right bringing up. My parents didn't really love me as much as your parents did. All kinds of excuses. Swamiji used to say, my goodness, you are you. I know, but I cannot do it because I don't know Sanskrit. You're a scholar in Sanskrit, you can read and so on and so forth. I have to look at translations and I cannot do it. Swami Khandananda says that one of the common complaints is, I'm a woman. In India, this is very common. That the men are supposed to be very well qualified. And the women, they are very busy with households, taking care of children, and they don't study as much, etc. So a lot of women will come, Swamiji, I'm just a woman. Another thing is jati. I'm not a Brahmana. I'm a lower caste. All kinds of excuses. Multiple excuses. All right, then comes another excuse is I need to be very intelligent and I don't feel I have the intelligence. So Mekhanananda says, can I tell you something he says? He says, in my life, I have met some very, very intelligent people, so sharp, so well educated, lawyers, scientists, engineers, judges, politicians, leaders. When it came to Atma Jnanam, nowhere. And these people have honed their minds and buddhi over a lifetime. They have become leaders in their own field. Their knowledge of detail, of inference, and etc. is just outstanding. But he says when they come to me, they don't get it. So if you're relying on becoming your intelligence and buddhi, don't wait for it. This is an excuse. Swamiji says, this is a very beautiful example. He says, supposing you want to go to someone else's house, it's very possible that they may say no entry except for, they put some conditions. No, you have to make prior arrangements. Sometimes there are guards, dogs. You cannot go. So to be something, to be somewhere or someone who is to go somewhere, this is fine. What about your own house? Do you need a permission to be in your own house? This is your own self. You don't need any adhikaritvam. What kind of a condition are you putting yourself in? If you think that I cannot be very comfortable where I am, that's your problem. There's no need to be uncomfortable. You're already home. I'm reminded of this example by Swami Chinmayananji. Beautiful example. I'll never forget it. And the example given was, although there are a couple of variations on this, Swami Akhandananda gave another beautiful variation which reminded me of Swami Chinmayananji's example. And so in India, apparently, I never really got involved with that of it, amongst the college age people having bhang, which is a liquid marijuana, a liquid marijuana kind of like, something like that, is very common. So a lot of the students in there are certain times of the year when they drink bhang and they see all hallucinations and it's all fun. So this guy had bhang in his own home. And so the parents were not there, so there's some students who came in and they had a party. And now this guy has become delirious. He says, I want to go home. I don't know where I am. And so his friend said, no, no, you are home already. And so this fellow was acting so funny. Finally, his friends called his parents and said, sorry, sir, we were just having fun, but this kid of yours has become delirious. And he wants to go home. He's already home. You know, this is our situation. Believe it or not. As bizarre as this example is, this is our story. Most of the time, almost all of the time, I don't feel comfortable with who I am, where I am, what I am, when I am. I'm always with the feeling, I want to do something. This is what is called Bhavasagar. So the Bhavasagar means the ocean of becoming. I want to be something. I want to be somewhere. This is our situation. Shastra comes in and says, wait a second, my dear. You are already home. Swami Chinmayanandaji used to say, his example was that he was at somebody else's home when he got intoxicated. And then he was brought in back to his own home. And he used to give this example of saying, Hari Home. And so he says, Hari Om is exactly like that. Hari Om means, may I rush back to where I am. Hey, you are already always home. But no, I don't feel at home. So I want to do something. I want to study. I want to be intelligent. I want to do this. I'm not qualified. You are already, sir, madam, you are already what you are. No, but I... So what to do? So all this is just the first part of it. What to do? Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this one thing Swami Kanananda points out. Remember I was saying that his students were lawyers and so on and so forth. He also points out, I have known so many Mahatmas who have really understood the whole thing. They were Brahmagyanis who did not study much at all. And his best example is Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. He says Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was not a very educated person. I didn't know that. And he says, I cannot tell you, there were so many Mahatmas that I have met who were not educated. Okay. Now we come to the main example, the main excuse that I am not qualified. This is what is called my view of Antakarana Shuddhi. Say, I don't have Antakarana Shuddhi. I have to tell you, this is an interesting example. This was the time at PRC where, this is where we got separated from the Chinmaya mission. And one of the aspects I remember so well is that Swami Chinmayananda used to, if you look at his chart, he would have the home, and then he has the BMI chart, etc. And in between he has Vasan, V for Vasanas. So the way he would explain Vasanas is that even I didn't quite understand all of the aspects of it, until you are able to overcome the Vasanas. It is rising from the BMI, and then you cross over the Vasanas, and then you understand the Omkara. This was his saying. But what happened was that there was, this is what is called little knowledge is a dangerous thing. Most of his key officers of Swami Chinmayananda were not really students of Vedanta. They thought, we are getting very close to a very famous person, and if we became vice presidents and directors and so on, we'll be very well known. Yeah, some of it made sense to them, but they were not students. So one of the things was, whenever we would discuss with them, we said, but you're not studying anything. You're not attending classes. They'll say, no, we are exhausting vasanas. Hey, vasanas are inexhaustible. Now, you don't have to study, you have to exhaust vasanas. And finally we said, this is not the group that we want to be associated with. So we broke off. Anyway, that is a separate story. But it reminds me of it. Say, Antakarana Shuddhi. I want Antakarana Shuddhi. Now there are 4 famous methods of doing Antakarana Shuddhi. What are those? One is dharmic living, dharma. Dharma means consistency, oneness, like you get married to one person. You don't fool around. You have your own wealth. You don't covet somebody else's wealth. You're doing your job very well. Do not go around, doing multitasking. This is called dharma. So one method of doing Antakarana Shuddhi, in fact, the whole idea about so-called arranged marriage system in India, as you know, is dharmic living. It means it doesn't matter who you get married to, within limits. Just get married and practice living loyally to that person. That practice is called dharma. It is for your own good. Here's the dharma, number 1. The second method of Antakarana, these are the 4 methods of Antakarana Shuddhi that you can do in many different ways, but these are the 4 methods. So the first one is dharma. The second one is bhoga tyaga. That instead of always trying to enjoy your sense organs and doing things and going somewhere and so on, you have a sense of independence from it. In the beginning, your mind may give you some trouble. Yeah, shouldn't we be going anywhere? How come you're just sitting there not doing anything? Let's do something. So initially your mind may protest. But you find, really speaking, that if I am peaceful at home, why should I go somewhere and be peaceful there? I'm already peaceful. So this is what is called bhogatyaga. Number 2. The third one is sadbhavana. Sadbhavana means bhakti. Going to temples regularly, doing puja daily, making sure that you keep upavasa vratam, don't eat ekadashi, and just have a very disciplined life and be very devoted to Ishvara. This is called sadbhavana, bhakti. This is the number 3. The fourth one is chittam ekagrata. So this is the yogic system, where you don't really, all you do is to learn to meditate and to keep your own equanimity and don't get too disturbed. Anytime that the mind goes anywhere, you bring it back and you stay within yourself. So these are the 4 traditional methods of antakarna shuddhi. Right? Swami Akhandananda says, good. All these are good, no doubt about it. Very good methods. You can choose from any one of them, and if you follow all and many of them, that's even better. Very good. But there is a fifth method. These are the 4 traditional methods of antakarna shuddhi. There is a 5th method which is far more superior. Far superior. Not far more superior, but far superior. No question about it. Really? What is that? It is what is called, you turn your attention to the drik, not the drishya. And if you decide to do so, the day you decide to do so, all these other things that we were just talking about will automatically be taken care of. That is the ultimate antakarna shuddhi, which is to investigate. You need to decide and investigate what is the nature of the Atma, what is the nature of Paramatma. Both are Shuddha, Mukta, Buddha, Nirvikara, Advitiya. The more you look into that, the rest, do not be involved with drishya and to improve your drishya. Just don't even look at it. It will automatically drop off. Swamiji says this in great detail. He says that if you look if you turn your attention toward yourself, then ekagrata will follow, bhoga tyaga will follow, the sadbhavana towards Ishvara will follow, and dharma will automatically follow. You need to choose. Drik rather than drishya. The content rather than the form. The upadana nimitta karanam, the abhinna numat nimitta upadana karanam, natu karya. You decide to do it. Everything else will automatically fall into place. This is the meaning of the second line. This is what is called yam eva esha vrinute. Vrinute means to choose. Varanam, swayamvara. Between Rama and Sita, the vara, you choose. This is ke vrinute. Here you can either do in the form of the Atma or in the form of Parameshwara. Either is the same thing. If you do that, the rest will follow. So I tell you, for the first time, I could see the meaning of this rather verse that used to bother me. Na ayam atma pravachanena labhyaha, na medhaya na bahuta shrutena, yam esha eva vrinute, tena labhyaha, tasya esha atma vivrinute tanugum swam. He says, this is the secret of the Atma. It would only become clear to you if you look at it, if you do not disregard it. So the Drikdrishya Viveka is the reason why this verse becomes very clear, at least to me. It clarified my doubts about how is it that. So it doesn't mean that you don't. So really, studying books and listening to classes and so on, all of that is so that your mind has to examine the truth of your own self. What is it? And Swami Akhilananda also says that even Parameshwara is kind of waiting. Just waiting. It will not become clear to you until you stop playing. So it is exactly like children just being distracted by playing with dolls and marbles. Trivial stuff in life. You have to decide, okay, enough is enough. Tell me the real stuff. Not by saying, okay, I am still exhausting my vasanas. I still have desires to go around seeing places and meeting people and watching movies and so on and so forth. Ishvara says, okay, I'm waiting. All right. Sure, sure. Enjoy yourself. Good, good, good. But if you want the real stuff, you have to choose. Yam eva esha vrinute tena labhyaha tasya esha vivrinute atma danugum swam. Om asato ma satkamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. So, Keshav, your question is good, but I think what is being said here is that the study of Upanishads and attending classes and learning and all of that is really indirect. It is really a step, and in some cases, if you're not sure of things and so on, but it should lead to a direct self-inquiry and your own thinking about yourself. This is what is being said. It doesn't discourage you from studying, but it discourage you. This should discourage you from becoming scholars. That I haven't studied that Upanishad, now I want to study that. I haven't studied Bhagavad Gita enough, I have to study more. So you just become an external scholar rather than becoming introspective as to say, what is it that I'm doing in my life? What is the end point? Where is it getting me? So that is a direct sakshat karanam. That is the result of all of the teaching. So it's not as though the teaching is not useful, but it needs to be a point where you really your own thoughts should become your own teacher. The way you think. And we'll go into this in much more detail. We are not quite done yet. But that's the point that is being talked about. I think the other thing that Swami Akhandananda points out, and so beautifully, is that many times we are just, these are excuses. I can't do it because I've got this to do. I've got problems, I've got health problems, I've got to do this. He says these are all excuses. You are already you. Just examine it. Bishop says samprada. I don't understand your samprada. Did you mean sampradaya? Well, we already talked about the sampradaya. Anyway, if you have any questions, please let me know. Okay. All right. We'll see you again. Hari Om.